Everyone, and welcome to the Jay Davis Show. I'm super excited to have two amazing guests today to talk about entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurial journey. I'm here with Jared and Aaron Hiltzik. They are the co-founders of Recovery for Athletes. And thank you guys for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having
Yeah.
us.
Well, why don't we start with how'd you guys get going? We were talking about just a second ago. It's 5-year anniversary of launching the business. What's been the path to get to where you guys are today?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So both Aaron and I, we grew up playing all sports in particular. Really gravitated towards tennis, even though we started playing baseball, soccer, basketball, you name it, growing up, and ended up playing tennis. Going in collegiately to the University of Illinois, having a great career there for both of us, and then taking down to the professional ATP tour where we played for 3 to 4 years. During our time on tour, I mean, you got a lot of downtime. You're in hotel rooms for 8 to 10 hours a day after you practice, and you're just waiting around, not doing too much. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, let's think of something to fund our tennis careers. And my brother-in-law had a little bit of e-commerce experience, so I learned from him. And then Aaron and I just started talking. We're like, hey, what if we create a website for some of these amazing health and wellness products that have really helped keep us healthy, and that a lot of players on tour, we see them using, but there's not a real true place to get them that's trusted. And it really just started that way. One brand at a time, getting them on board, networking those relationships. And here we are today, 5 years later.
It's amazing. That's so awesome. I think there's so many interesting parallels I would like to ask you guys about. What have you seen between athletics and business that is the same and what is different?
Yeah. I think the same is like competitiveness. Just you want to compete, you always want to be the best. You're constantly working with people and teammates, and it's creating a good culture that Aaron and I, we grew up in with. When I went to University of Illinois, our head coach, Brad Dancer, and assistant coach, Marcos, that's all they ever talked about was culture, culture, culture. And that's something that we've really taken to heart with the business and the people that we brought along, and kind of the perception that we want to perceive to our customers as well. That, look, we're a small, tight knit group. We communicate really well. Um, it's an open floor. Like, if anyone has problems, we're all talking about it. Everyone knows about everything, and we don't keep anything hidden. So I think that's a really strong parallel just in kind of how we grew up with teammates and being a part of a top 5 national ranked team. And those are the things that really are similar. Um,
Yeah. No, I would say one other parallel would just be honestly just like facing adversity. I mean, you're just so used to that in sports with tennis and taking big losses. And obviously, everything's always not perfect. And, you make mistakes in e-commerce and whatever it is. And it's just we're just kind of used to that. I think every time, any bumps in the road happen where we just feel like we've been through that in sports and professional, in professional sports in general. So it's, and I think that's what, for especially entrepreneurs, like there's a lot of times you're down in the dumps. You're like, I don't know if we can, push forward, and, there's just, this is going wrong, that's going wrong, but you just get through it, and then you just take that next step and that next hump, and it usually pays off.
I love it. I think it's so true. You gotta have in some ways, almost a bit of a chip on your shoulder in entrepreneurship to just you want to prove everybody wrong and prove that you can do it and be the best. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, you get a lot of people that are kind of, they see what you're doing and like, oh, like, that sounds fun and easy. You can work from anywhere. You can just kind of do whatever. And I'm like, all right, I'll
yeah,
trade you. But
yeah,
it's, it has awesome payoffs. You get to meet tons of people. Um, like Aaron said, it's ebbs and flows, and we kind of how our brains are accustomed to handling adversity. It makes us persevere stronger in the long run.
Do you guys still play tennis? Are you still pretty active?
Competitive wise, I kind of just do it to stay in shape now.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get the competitive juices flowing a little bit, but I really just kind of view it as a way to get some cardiovascular activity going and um, play around a little bit. So maybe once or twice a week. It used to be 5 days a week.
Bit different. What about you, Aaron?
I'm I'm honestly less than Jared. I'm maybe like once a month right now. Um, I'm out in Colorado right now, so I'm hiking all the time and skiing, and I'll do the occasional pickleball, which it's a little tough to mention that, but I'll play with my fiance or something like that. Just it's easier in that sense, but yeah, not much tennis.
Kind of a sidebar, but how do you guys feel about pickleball? Is it something you like? Do you like seeing all the attention on it, or what do you think?
It's cool seeing some of the tennis guys that we competed against succeed in pickleball and do really well there. At the same time, it's one of those things where it's just like, hey, the same guys that you were competing with are doing well in pickleball, and that's a path that they chose to go and they're doing really well with. And sometimes it's like what could have been maybe, but it's hey, I think it's a great sport recreationally to play with friends and go around there. I think they still have some things working between the two different tours. I think they just created a merger now with them, so we'll kind of see how it all transpires. But I know the orthopedic world and probably recovery for athletes has benefited a bit from pickleball and all the injuries going on. So
What I mean, with pickleball has been this huge viral trend. I mean, it's just gone crazy. What are some of the trends that you guys have seen as you've built the business? I'm sure there's some interesting ones with different products. And then how have you leveraged that? I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs usually you kind of launch with a smaller product catalog and then you expand and grow. Have you balanced that growth and how have you kind of taken advantage of these explosions of certain products?
We started out, it was specifically towards the Theragun, like the massage guns. And all the athletes on tour were like, where'd you get that thing? Could we get that? And that's kind of what gave us that epiphany of, let's create this one-stop shop. And it kind of just started off mainly just for, the massage gun market and kind of like that, and just obviously slowly expanding out. And there's tons of categories, obviously athletic recovery, but then there's more pillars that an athlete needs, home fitness equipment, mental performance products, nutrition and supplements, everything like that. So we've really expanded out, just creating, we work with over 200 different brands in every pillar an athlete needs probably right now. And there's new trends all the time, and I would say one of the big trends now is kind of like the cold plunge and the saunas, and you got the Andrew Hubermans of the world kind of talking about just all the health benefits of that. I think that's really driven a lot of our growth the past couple years.
yeah, and I think naturally, like this started out as just a total just side gig to fund our tennis careers and everything like that. And just as we've gotten immersed in the business, kind of just learned the ins and outs. And then COVID was definitely friendly to us. I think a lot of e-commerce companies did well during COVID, but with us in the health and wellness space, it kind of opened the door to okay, there's many more things that an athlete needs to succeed with their body and health and wellness and longevity in general. So COVID kind of was a little stepping stone to that, and really got us to grow into our shoes a lot quicker. And we really just had to bite the bullet and just go full force. And that's really allowed us to expand into, as Aaron mentioned, other categories and other brands, and just growing our team and being able to handle the demand that has come with that.
As you guys look at the business and you think of the future, where do you want to head and how do you just define and kind of discover that vision? Is it talking with customers? Is it talking as a team? Is it the two of you as co-founders? I think that's another challenge I see with when I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs where they're like trying to figure out where to take the business. How have you guys navigated that and been able to kind of build out that plan?
Yeah, I'd say it's almost entirely based off of our team. Like our team meetings, we come in together, everyone just being on the same page, whether you're solely customer service, whether you're solely sales, whether you're in the marketing team. It's the sales and customer service, they hear stuff from the customers, us, they'll bring it up in meetings. Hey, these are different things that customers are talking about. Then that kind of gets the marketing juices flowing, and then everyone just kind of gets involved and starts talking about the different paths of growth, whether that's in content or different creation or partnering with different gyms. And I think for us in particular, one space that we're really trying to cover is, look, we're the one-stop shop. We're for athletic recovery, home fitness, you name it, like we have it. And to be able to build out kind of these recovery rooms for physical therapy, gyms. We just did a big project in Indianapolis where we just totally outfitted their recovery room and just provided them with 8 different brands that we have that they can offer to their clientele and members already. So that's something that's probably going to be our next step forward, is still main core being that B2C, just directly to the consumer, but also branching out in more of that B2B market, getting into businesses, getting them on the phone, um, having kind of layouts and images and just showing, hey, this is what your space could look like. These are all the products we have from the best brands in the world. Let's build this for you guys. You guys offer it to your clients, maybe upcharge them $20 a membership or include it in their monthly membership already. And it's really going to pay off and pay dividends.
Yeah, because we've seen that this can be such a large trend, and it's already happening in a lot of the big health and wellness spaces like Lifetime Fitness or Equinox, stuff like that, where they have kind of built out these recovery rooms. But we realize, we are that true one-stop shop, hitting every pillar that someone would need for a gym if they want to, get in a massage chair or a cold plunge or sauna, or the Normatec boots, anything like that. We really are that one stop. And we can work with gyms and all these different clinics that can really, create that type of recovery room that's really cool and can just be a big boost to those gyms where they can increase the revenue for, as Jared said, charge, let's say $20-$30 a month extra. They want access to that recovery room, or, the affiliate model where they can even sell the products and stuff like that. So there's a lot of potential we kind of see there as a new phase of what we've been doing on top of our e-commerce.
As you guys have grown this business, I think one of the interesting and unique things that you could probably speak to, which a lot of people go through, is you're working with family. What's that been like? I'm sure there's been challenges. What have also been the strengths of working with? Do you have other family members who are involved in the business, or just the two of you?
Just the two of us. And it's funny. So the benefit of it is trust is the number one thing. You trust each other entirely with absolutely everything. In addition, you feel like you can just totally speak freely and not hold back on anything. So Aaron faces the brunt of that from me more often, being the older brother. But he always takes it on the chin like a champ, and it allows for really good conversation. And the entire team knows this too. So that goes back to our team culture and all that. They'll just, like, Aaron says something I don't agree with, I'll just disagree, and they all laugh because they know it's coming, and vice versa. Aaron Aaron doesn't Aaron's nicer. Aaron's a lot nicer than me. Um, so that's definitely the positives. I think the challenges is, what challenges are there, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, the challenges of that being brothers is sometimes I feel, we're on calls together and all of a sudden business pops up and we sometimes feel more business partners than brothers. And that's kind of what's been a little bit challenging over time. But I think now we haven't like backed off, I would say, from like, talking as much or businessy like that. But I think we just kind of have that knowing of, okay, like, everything in the world is not just about trying to grow and it's all about money. Like, being with family is more important than that, family and friends. And so I think that's been, just not like a challenge, but it's just kind of a knowing that, okay, it's a thing there. But yeah, but then again, like, I think what Jared and I have both realized too, we're both very different. Where I read this one book, I think it's called Rocket Fuel or something, where there's always like a visionary and then there's the integrator. Think of all the big companies, Jeff Bezos, or, Amazon with Jeff Bezos and, forgot the other co-founder, but, Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs, like,
Yeah.
Steve Jobs, the big visionary, Wozniak, just integrator. And if you just look, there's tons of co-founders where it's just like that. And Jared and I are very similar in that way, where I'll just spit out crazy ideas all the time. And Jared will just, you'll give me a lot of crap for it. But a lot of those ideas have come off really big, where, we were just selling recovery products. And I had this random idea. I'm like, Jared, let's just start selling exercise bikes. Let's see what happens. And, we partnered with a couple of the big brands out there, and then COVID hits and boom, now we're selling more fitness stuff than recovery. But, so it's interesting to kind of see those little things happen. But I think it's just from that trust that we have. We're just like, I trust Jared. He's gonna be the operations. He's gonna run with this, and I'm just gonna keep coming up with more ideas.
Well, it's Rocket Fuel is definitely the book I recommend more than any other book talking to other entrepreneurs. I think it's kind of the owner's manual for being in a partnership, being an entrepreneur. I mean, it constantly comes back to that. And I think, like you said, that's another thing of being an entrepreneur. You guys are building a startup, and even when you're not family, you kind of become family in many ways. And I think what you said is a really good point. Sometimes you have to remember, sometimes we're hanging out as an executive team and or even as a broader company, and all of our spouses and you know partners, fiancés, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, they're like, can we not talk about business for 5 minutes? We're having a party. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Let's I'm sure you have to remind yourself on Thanksgiving Day, like, okay, no business talk. Let's just let this be about family.
Actually, on Thanksgiving Day is probably the worst for us because that's when Black Friday is. I fly to Charlotte. That's where our warehouse is, and we're up the wazoo, like seeing all the by dings going all the time, and we're packing boxes, staying up till midnight trying to, close a live chat just because we'll do what it takes, and that's kind
Yeah.
of just have that extra drive, which is funny. Yep.
It's funny how in ecom your whole life kind of starts to become, it's like my wife knows, like, we'll never go anywhere for Thanksgiving. It's just not, Black Friday's too crazy. We can go somewhere for Christmas. By then things have calmed down. We have a little lull. But not Black Friday. Black Friday is like, I'll work Black Friday. Thanksgiving we'll have dinner together. But yeah, it's wild. It's some of those challenges.
Yeah. I mean, we pretty much have unlimited company time off, and if you get your work done, then we're good. Take vacation and stuff. But our blackout dates are Black Friday, Cyber Monday, obviously the other big holidays too. But it's like, hey, we need all hands on deck that Friday and Monday.
It's an interesting part of being in any industry. Every industry kind of has some quirks, and ecom is like, you can have some holidays, but they're not going to be normal holidays. You're not taking Labor Day off. You're not taking Memorial Day off. You're going to be making sure that customers are okay, and it's always a challenge. That's awesome. So as you guys look back, it's been this 5-year journey. What are the things you wish you had known and you would tell other entrepreneurs who are getting going? What are, like, maybe the one or two key takeaways for each of you of, like, man, I wish I would have done this sooner or known this from the beginning? What are some of those things you would share?
I mean, there's tons of like different things to kind of, I guess, touch on there. I mean, the biggest number one thing I would say is to have a partner that is just, you just trust no matter what, that they're going to get their job done, and that they'll have your back on whatever happens. And like, say it is a brother or it's like a best friend or whatever, you're kind of taking that friendship over just money in general, because the more you grow, the more challenges you're going to get. You're going to be like, who's working more, who's doing this. And, sometimes that can happen, but you just know that you have so much trust in this person that they're going to get the job done. And it's just kind of like, it's just like an unwritten rule in a way that, that's what Jared and I have, I would say, so well. And that's why we've done so well with the company, just because that, even, I don't know, like I'll go fly fishing for a day or something. And Jared, he's like, that's fine. Like, I got it covered. Like, and Jared will go golf. I'm like, that's fine. Like, it's just how it is. Yeah. I would say that's one of them. I think, entrepreneurs should always try to do is, like, yes, focus on your one thing that you're good at. And once you actually start having success with that, just keep branching out, just turn that into like a true ecosystem, whether it's, say you've been selling products, then now create content around those products, and, try to think of new ways, or adding in new categories, or just doing all these new ways to just grow that business instead of just being so focused on one little narrow path. Because there's always these sub niches under your niche in a way that I think, you see a lot of, the big companies, that's what they do now. I mean, Amazon, for example, with AWS. Like you wouldn't think they would just become a basically a software company now with that. So
No, it's a great point. Well, and a lot of the stuff, especially in your guys' field, it takes off and takes off quick. I mean, 3 years ago, no one was cold plunging like now. I mean, it just same thing with the Theraguns. It's like, I don't remember anyone I never had seen one of those 10 years ago, and then now it's everywhere. So, you gotta be adaptive. That's a great advice.
It's crazy just how adaptive you have to be and how at first, I mean, we learned a big lesson just during COVID and everything. It's like, hey, this is just going to keep going on and on and on, and home fitness and everything there. And then bike sales drop off a cliff. I mean, you've seen it with Peloton and everything. And it was kind of a gut check where it's like, wow, I'm really glad Aaron convinced me to branch off and have these different little sectors, because if we were still just as heavy as we were with exercise bikes and home fitness, then we'd be in a much different position than we are today. So
Yeah.
I think that's super important, where it's like when things are going really good, just always kind of have in the back of your mind, okay, how can we still adapt? How can we kind of protect ourselves in case something unexpected does happen?
Well, guys, this has been so great. Thanks for coming and sharing your wisdom with us and helping people to, learn from the hard knocks you guys have had to go through. I think that's one of the fun things about being an entrepreneur is you get to a certain level and then you get to help people coming up behind you who you're a little bit farther ahead of, and getting to help them is super rewarding. So really appreciate you guys coming. Anyone can go to recoveryforathletes.com, right? And check out you guys' product line.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, thanks for coming and being a guest. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.